In this video, we are going to see how JavaScript executes the code and why it is a single-threaded programming language. And what does it mean when we say that JavaScript is a single-threaded programming language? So we will execute this piece of code to understand the concept of single-threaded programming language and to understand how JavaScript executes the code. We have seen it earlier is as soon as you execute any piece of code, it creates a global execution context, and the global execution context consists of two parts. One part where it is going to store all the memory, and another part where it is going to execute all the code. So let's take a look at what will happen here. And we also understand that it goes through different phases like declaration and execution. In declaration phase, all it does is stores all the value into the memory. So if you try to understand, we know that to make JavaScript execute the code, we use any engine. And to be specific, in Chrome, we use an engine named as V8. And the job of V8 engine is to source up functions, variables, and other kind of data and execute it one after another, because that is how JavaScript works. So when we say that JavaScript is a single-threaded language, what we mean is at one point of time, we can only execute one code. So let's see what is going to happen here. So here we have three functions. Function named 1, 2, and 3. So all these three functions will be created inside the memory. So we'll go ahead and create the functions one after another. So this is function named 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So in that way, we will be done with declaration phase and we'll move on to execution phase. In execution phase, you can see here on this line that we are executing the function console log, and inside that we are executing function named 1. And we know that whenever you execute a function, it creates a function execution context. So right now, inside this, it will create a function execution context for the function named 1. And as soon as it will be executed, what it is going to do, it is going to return 1 from here. So what will happen is this value of 1 will be returned from this function. And because of we are calling the function console log here, in console we'll see the value 1. As soon as that happens, the execution context will be deleted. So I'll go ahead and delete this part of code from here. Then we'll move on to the next line. And the next line, what we are doing is we are calling a function 3. And whenever you call the function 3, as you can see it here, it is calling another function 2. And when you're calling 2, it is calling another function that is 1. And at last, 1 will be called. So here, if you look at it, what is happening is inside one function, we are calling another. Inside another, we are calling another function, and it keeps going on. So managing this becomes a bit of a task. And that is where call stacks comes in play. So here we have seen that execution happened this side, but how is this getting managed? So that is where we will introduce a new thing known as call stack. So this one is call stack. And we know that because it contains the word stack, it uses the data structure of type stack. And how does stack works? Stack is like a pile of books. You keep adding it on top and you also remove it from top. And call stack is used for managing at which point of time, which code are you running. So when we come to this line, what we are doing is we are executing the function console log. Inside that, we are executing 3. So what will happen is, it will go ahead and add the first function into the stack. Which one is the first function? So the first function is console log. So we'll go ahead write console log. And to make console log work, you will also have to execute the function named 3. Only if 3 is executed, the console log will be executed. So what does it mean is, if you want to make console log work, you will have to execute the function named 3. So it will go inside 3 and add that to the stack. And now, to execute 3, if we go inside it, we will see that we will need a function named 2 to be added to the stack. So 2 will be added here. Similarly, if you go inside 2, you will see that the function 1 is added. So inside 2, 1 will be added. And 1 will be executed first. So here we have created the call stack. Now what happens is, so to make console log work, you will have to first execute 1, because that is how stack works. Like you add on the top and you remove from the top. So here what will happen is 1 will be removed first. So first it will go ahead, create the execution context for 1. It will execute the function, and from that function you see the value 1 is being returned. And as soon as that is done, this value 1 will be passed to the function 2, and 1 will be deleted from here because the job of 1 is done. And as soon as that is removed from the call stack, it means it is deleted here. Now it's time for executing function name 2. So I'll go ahead, add a new execution context. I'll make it a bit smaller so we can execute other function. And here what we'll see is the new function 2 will be added. And where you can see we are returning, when you call 1, you got 1 and you're adding 1 to it. And from here 2 will be returned. And as soon as that happens, the function name 2 will be removed from call stack. So the execution context of 2 will be deleted, and now it's time to execute 3. So as soon as you execute 3, I'm just going to delete this part for now so we can execute 3 and console log. Now it's time to execute the function name 3. And as soon as you execute that, what will happen? We'll create another execution context. And this is the execution context of function name 3. And we know that to execute 3, we needed 2 to work. And we know that 2 returned the value 2. So here we'll say 2 plus 1 and 3 will be returned. As soon as that happens, the function name 3 will be deleted. The same will happen with this context. And now at last, we need to execute console.log. And for that, we know that execution context will get created. And this is the context of console log. And here, when we executed function name 3, we got the value 3. So 3 will be logged in the value. So the last function inside call stack is console.log. So the last function inside call stack is console.log, and the execution is over. It will be deleted and we'll delete the execution here. And at last you can see that the call stack is empty. And in console log we'll see the value 3. So in that way what happens? So call stack is the place that manages which function to execute at which point of time. And you can see at one point of time call stack can only execute one function. And that's the reason we say that JavaScript is a single-threaded language. So it has only one call stack that manages everything here. So it is like if you have to go from one place to another, there is only one road. That has advantages and disadvantages also. So advantage is like you don't have to manage multiple roads or multiple call stack. You just have to manage one. But disadvantage is at one point of time, you can only execute one piece of code. So in this way, we got to understand what is call stack and how it helps engine to execute the code one after another by keeping track of at which point of time which code is executing. So now we have taken a look at how JavaScript executes the code and what is the use case of call stack. Let's go ahead, try to execute this code in console and see what happens. So here we'll execute the code, and in output you can see you're getting 1 and 3 as expected. What if I want to change this code and create some issue here? And I paste this code again, and what I want to do is like as soon as you come on this line, I want you to give me the trace for what is happening at this point of time. So here you can use the console function console.trace and say function1, and now I'll press enter. See what is happening here. The function 1 is being called 2 times. First it is called here, and then it is called inside 3. So 3 is called, 3 is calling 2, 2 is calling 1, and 1 is called 2 times. So when the first time it is called, if you look at the trace, trace is just 1. Trace means what is inside call stack at that specific point of time. So when you were calling just 1, in call stack there was only one function, that is 1. After that we got the log 1. Then you're calling function 3, 3 is calling 2, 2 is calling 1. And inside 1, we are doing console.trace. And here you can see that right now you're calling 1, but inside the call stack you have 2, 3, and anonymous, that is console.log. So this is the status of call stack right now. So looking at this, you can understand that only if 1, 2, and 3 is called, this anonymous function will be called. So using console.trace, you can make your debugging a lot more easier. So after executing the code, what I'm going to show is like how can you get access to call stack and everything inside the browser. So you can copy this code from here and go to sources tab. On sources tab, you have different things here. You have page. When you click on it, you'll also get snippet. Here what you can do, you can create a new snippet and you can say main.js or whatever you want. And here you can paste your code. I'm going to remove the trace for now because we don't want it like this. And here on the right hand side, you can see this is your main thread. This is your call stack. This is scope. This is your breakpoints. When you want to add different breakpoints, you can do that. You must be thinking, what is breakpoint? So what breakpoint does is using breakpoints, you can pause the code at specific given line and it will give you the state of code at that point of time. Say for example, what happens when you're executing this code? So first thing, you can just execute the code by clicking on run snippet. And here you will see that you have the output here, right? You're getting 1 and 3. Now, what I want is I want to add some breakpoints. So you can add breakpoints by clicking on the line number here. So say for example, I want to add a breakpoint on line number 2. So as soon as you do that, you will see inside breakpoint, this is added. You can add multiple breakpoints also, but for here, let's go ahead and run this code again. So here we have added breakpoints. We have call stack here. We'll go ahead, run this. As soon as you will run, what will happen? It will say paused in debugger and it will be displaying you what is the state of this right now. And here clicking on this, what will happen? It will take you to the next step. So I'll close this part and click on next. So see what happens next. So next, if you keep clicking on it, you'll see this function is going to get called. And at that point of time in call stack, you have an anonymous function. Click on it again. Now console.log3 is going to get called. So as soon as that will be called in call stack, what do you see? You see 1, 2, 3 anonymous. Now here, if you try to imagine how we were managing our call stack, you would have seen that we had console log, then 3, then 2, and then 1. So you can see that the call stack we have created here is very, very similar to how it is inside the browser. You can click on this button to resume the script execution and you're back to things. Now you can close this. So in this way, we got to understand how JavaScript executes the code. And to execute the code, it needs two important things, a memory and a call stack. Memory is used for storing all the information and call stack is used for managing at which point of time, which function or code you are executing. And with the help of call stack, we are also able to look at the call trace of the function. So here we were able to do console.trace to look at the trace of the function. It means at this given point of time, what all function is there in call stack.